We often think that to become rich, you have to earn a lot of money, but the truth is that it is not what you earn that counts, it is what you do with what you earn. If you earn 5,000 euro per month, but you spend everything, you will never be financially free. Whereas a person who earns twice as much, but who manages their money intelligently, can in the long term build a real heritage. And it is exactly what the richest 1% do. They leave nothing to chance. Their money is organized, allocated, optimized. But here is the good news: their methods are not reserved for millionaires today. We are going to discover an ultra simple rule accessible to all that can change your relationship with money. The 15-65-20 method, a clear, concrete method that shows you how to distribute your income intelligently to ensure your future, live serenely, and fully enjoy the present. Let's start with the first rule of the 15-65-20 method. Put aside 15% of what you earn at each entry of money before paying your rent, before your groceries, before your subscriptions. You pay yourself first. And it is not a question of luxury. It is a question of security, of stability, of freedom. Why is it so important? Because life is surprises: a flat tire, a washing machine that breaks, a health emergency, a professional blow. And the real problem is not only the expense itself, it is the stress that it creates when you do not have the means to face without savings. Each unforeseen event becomes a mini crisis, and it is there that the debts start, consumer credits, the interest that accumulate, and this spiral where we lose control. But imagine the opposite. You have 1 month's advance on your essential expenses, then 2, then 6. Each euro put aside is €1 of power, more power over your time, over your choices, over your future. So how to do concretely: start by creating what we call an emergency fund, a separate account accessible immediately, where you put aside the equivalent of your essential expenses during 1 month. And when we say essential, we do not talk about Netflix, about restaurant, or impulsive purchases. We talk about what allows you to live your rent or your credit, your basic groceries, your transport, your bills, your health insurance, nothing else. Once this first month is secured, aim for between 3 and 6 months. It is ambitious, yes, but attainable. And above all, it changes everything, because the day where a problem arrives, you will not panic. You will not be obliged to go into debt or to make a rush choice. You will be ready, you will have air perspective, and above all, you will keep control. These 15% that you put aside are not just a saving. They are the foundations of your financial independence. It is what will allow you later to invest, to launch a project, to say no to a job that no longer suits you, or to seize an opportunity without being afraid of losing everything. Even if today you cannot yet save 15%, it is not serious. Start with 5%, then increase slowly. The important thing is regularity, because in the long term, this discipline is what makes all the difference between those who suffer their life and those who build it. Saving is good, but making your money work is even better. Once you have established your security base, these 15% must not stay asleep on an account. They must start to produce. Because one of the greatest levers of wealth is time combined with compound interest. Let's take a very simple example. Imagine 2 people. The first, let's call her Claire, invests a sum of 1,000 euro at 30 years. She no longer touches this money for 20 years. She obtains a stable return of 6% per year at 50 years without having added anything. These 1,000 euro have transformed into more than 32,000. The second person, let's call him Mark, starts later at 40 years. He invests 2,000 euro each year. For 10 years in total, he will have placed 2,000 euro. That is twice more than Claire, and yet at 50 years, he will have accumulated less money than her. Why? Because Claire has left more time for her interests to work. She has left the magic of time to do its work. It is that, the power of compound interest. It is money that works for you, then that makes its own gains work. And more you start early, more the effect is spectacular. This principle, it is what Albert Einstein called the 8th wonder of the world. He said, he who understands it receives it. He who does not understand it pays it. And the good news is that it is not necessary to have thousands of euros to start You can start small. What counts is regularity and patience. Investing €100 each month for years in simple and well-chosen supports can be enough to make your heritage grow in an exponential way. And for that, you have very accessible tools. If you are in France, you can use a PA or a life insurance, which are advantageous fiscal envelopes to make your money grow without being too taxed. And inside, you can invest in index funds, also called ETFs. These funds follow automatically the markets they allow you to invest in. Hundreds of companies at once with very low fees. No need to guess which stock will go up tomorrow. No need to spend your days analyzing the markets. You invest in the real economy, in the whole world, in a simple, automatic, and above all, without stress. It is literally the laziest method to become rich, but it is also one of the most effective in summary. Once you have started to save, make, so that this money works, not to speculate, not to play the trader, but to build slowly a capital that grows alone in the background. It is exactly what the 1% do, and today you can do the same. The only difference is that now you know how to do it, is the most delicate part, but also the most crucial. Once you have put aside your 15%, there remain the 65% of your income destined for what we call fundamental expenses. That is to say, everything of which you really have need to live: your housing, your food, your transport, your bills, your insurance. In short, the expenses that make your daily life run. But attention, it is precisely in these necessary expenses that many people lose control of their finances because we believe that we need more than what we really need. We move into a larger apartment as soon as we earn a little more. We change car, we take one more subscription, we eat a little more often outside, and without realizing it, our standard of living climbs at the same rhythm as our income. It is what we call the inflation of lifestyle. And if we do not master it, we have good earning more each year. We do not get richer. We stay in the race. We spend just more expensive for the same emotions. The key is therefore to pose a clear limit: 65% maximum of your income for your essential needs, not 70, not 80, and above all, not 100. Obviously, it is easier to say than to do, especially if you live in a large city with a high cost of life. But even in this case, there are margins of maneuver perhaps that you can renegotiate a lease change, energy supplier review your auto insurance, or even rethink your movements if you spend a lot in transport. The idea here is not to live in deprivation, but to regain awareness of where your money goes and to prioritize what counts really. Because if your essential expenses eat 90% of your salary, then you no longer have any margin for the rest. No more saving, no more investment, no more pleasure, just stress by observing their budget. The majority of people realize that they have never really looked in detail where their money passes. They know what they earn, but not what they spend. And it is there that the transformation starts. Take the time to note everything, categorize your expenses, make a real assessment, and pose to yourself this simple question: am I living above my means or just above my needs, managing these 65%? It is not only a question of financial rigor, it is a question of freedom. Because by reducing your fixed charges, you increase your power of choice to choose to work less, to say no, to save more, to invest, to breathe. And it too is exactly what the richest do. They live often well below their means, even if they could spend much more, because they know that the real luxury is not to spend it, is to have the choice. We talked about investment, we talked about essential expenses, but there remains a part that many forget or neglect: the pleasure, and yet it is fundamental. The remaining 20% of the 15-65-20 method are there to do you good. They are there so that you can enjoy your money consciously without guilt. And no, it is not a trap to make you spend more. It is even the inverse. It is a voluntary, controlled permission to include pleasure in your financial life. Why is it so important? Because if your budget is too strict, if you never authorize yourself anything, you're going to crack at one moment, given it is like a diet without deviation. Sooner or later, you end up letting everything go. But if from the start, you integrate a part of pleasure, you hold on the duration, and these 20%, you can see them like an investment in your balance: a dinner at a restaurant with friends, a weekend to breathe, a massage, a garment that you really like. These are not whims. They are moments that motivate you to continue to manage your money. well to stay disciplined without falling into frustration. In fact, the people who succeed financially are not those who deprive themselves of everything. They are those who know where to have pleasure without compromising their objectives. And often they are much more intentional than the average. They do not spend more than the others. They spend better. What counts here is to choose what makes you happy, what recharges you really, not to follow the trends or to consume, to impress the others, but to create experiences, memories, or to offer you things that have meaning for you. So when you build your budget, do not ever forget these 20%, do not sacrifice them. And above all, do not feel guilty to use them, because while managing its money, it is not just accumulating, it is living better with intention, with balance. It is that the heart of the 15-65-20 method, and it is like that you build a real financial freedom, a freedom that does not make you just rich but fully alive. You have understood it, managing its money like the richest 1%. It is not a question of income. It is a question of distribution, of clarity, and above all, of discipline. 15% to secure oneself and invest, 65% to live in a stable and mastered way, 20% to enjoy life without feeling guilty. It is a simple, accessible, but above all, powerful method. If it is applied with regularity, the truth is that most people live without a plan. They cash their salary, pay their bills, treat themselves, and hope that there will remain something at the end of the month. But money, like everything in life, needs an intention, a strategy. And earlier you put this method in place, even with small amounts more, it will have impact on your future life. Financial freedom does not fall from the sky. It is built slowly, concretely. And that starts by this kind of decision. If this video has helped you to see more clearly, think to subscribe to Seed to Wealth. Here, we do not talk about magic or promises too beautiful. We talk about reality of tools of method. So if you are ready to take back the control of your money, to think long term, and to make choices that count really, you are in the right place. We find each other very soon for the sequel. Take care of your money, and it will take care of you.